Welcome back to the C5 Corvette drift build, except this time we're actually finally starting to build it because that's the parts pile. There's still more stuff coming, slightly more, but this is where we're gonna get down into actually basically separating this car from itself. Before we do that, we are at Race Ready Garage. That's Nigel, Dave's in the background, and they did a bunch of work on my C6, Z06, which you guys then made these guys busy for the next, what, 2 years now?
I'm booked up for 2 years for head repairs.
Yeah, so definitely thank you guys for supporting the shop. These guys are the best. There's Corvettes literally all around me. That's basically all they do, LS, LT, all that fun stuff. Yep. Definitely bring your Corvettes here, but I'm gonna bump you off to the side so we can get this build done. Okay, Nigel, let's talk about the plan.
Yep.
But first, we gotta get suited up because we got some sponsors on this build. So check this out. Holly sent us over a ton of swag, so let's just get swagged up, all right? There we go, swagged up. Thanks, Holly. Look at that,
All
MSD
right.
Racing. Dave's got his Simpson shirt. Thank you, Holly. Okay. So, what's the plan? Because there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of parts, and I will explain kind of the parts pile in a bit, but what's the plan for the build?
Yeah, so yeah, we'll do it kind of strategically. It's a lot of builds. So basically, first thing we're gonna wanna do, first major job is gonna be to
Get the lights
That's
working.
spooky. Wow, that,
Uh-oh.
okay.
Well, that's how builds go sometimes.
Yeah.
We have power again. Okay. Nigel, please explain the build.
All right. So yeah, we're going to, the first major thing we're gonna do is drop the drivetrain, the rear drivetrain.
And what does that mean on a Corvette?
So these are a little different than most vehicles for the drivetrain layout. So you've got engine up front, transmission differentials in the back, and then there's a solid torque tube connecting everything.
Okay.
That gives the car a nice weight layout. You do have to be very careful dropping either the engine or the transmission on these. If you have them on the hoist and you don't support the half that you're not dropping, they have a tendency to...
We've all seen those videos
Yeah.
on the internet. We're not going to make another one of those today.
We're not, yeah.
Or throughout this whole series.
No.
So basically it's kind of body on frame, kind of like a truck, sort of? Sort of?
Kinda.
It's got leaf springs too, like a
got
truck.
leaf springs.
Which we will be getting rid of later as one of the last videos. Thank you, Fortunato, for sponsoring that part of the build, and I will get into all the other sponsors though.
So these do have a full frame in them, but the frame is integral to the body. But yeah, so what we're gonna do then is we're gonna start with some interior stuff. You've got to at least remove the shifter to get the drivetrain out of it.
Oh no, we got to remove the shifter?
Yeah, that
My
beauty
shift
shifter.
knob?
Yeah.
Oh man. All right.
So, you know, we're gonna, for now, we will pull the center console, pull the shifter. Might do a little, start on a couple of things over here. The hydraulic handbrake needs to be run through the firewall. I think it'll make sense to get everything in position now so that while we've got the wheels off and we're doing the brakes on the hoist, we can get everything bled and ready to go.
By the way, we are doing a hydraulic handbrake, obviously, because it's a drift build. And then you're also wearing an MSD Racing shirt. So we also have some MSD supplies. Two-step, baby.
Oh yeah, gotta do it.
The goal is to make this thing hopefully shoot flames. That is my goal. Dave, he's the guy that's hopefully gonna make it happen. Yeah, so basically separate half the car from itself to start.
Yeah.
Start on the interior.
Yep.
And probably a lot of time lapses, because what timeline do you expect this to take, at least for the first part of it?
Oh, cars
The
get
major
built in
part.
a day. Everybody knows that.
Okay, perfect, yeah. Actually, guys, just so you know, this is being built for SEMA, so we have 3 days to get this done. It's
no,
now, what is it, March? No, it's still February, so we only have 3 days left.
So, I mean, you've done a pretty good job of getting everything together.
Thank
a
you.
big part of a build like this is making sure we don't have missing parts, especially up here. It's not easy getting parts in Canada, so you know it's not hard to be delayed by 2 weeks from one stupid little thing missing.
Yeah.
So I think we've got everything well sorted. So I'm looking at this pile, and that's you know two weeks of work.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
We've got other things going on here, obviously.
Yep.
Be filming a little bit, so that slows things down a bit.
Oh, it does, yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna just tackle it, you know, sleeves up and get dirty and go as
Perfect.
quick as we can without rushing.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
That's the plan,
Yeah.
right? So,
Okay, so I do want to explain this parts pile. before Nigel actually gets working, here's all the sponsors. Thank you so much for helping out on this build. And I've been trying to do this as a budget build, and I know that there's several $1,000s in parts here. They're not all sponsored, a lot of them are, but I did try to buy a lot of used parts, so stuff off of Facebook Marketplace, like for example, these headers. These are LG Motorsports, is that what they're called? Yeah. So I bought these off Facebook Marketplace. They need a little bit of love, not too much, but I priced those things out brand new, and they were like $4,000 Canadian, because prices up here with exchange rate and all that stuff suck. I think I paid like $1,500, and then I ceramic coated them myself in my garage, which I don't recommend because I also ceramic coated my mouth and throat doing that. So just get someone to do that for you next time. There's a DeWitt's radiator right there. That thing is at least $2,000.
Oh yeah.
I bought that off Marketplace for I think $900. It's all, everything's, whatever I could get used, I got used, and the parts that I got new, I tried to get them from companies who I reached out to who provided quality parts at an affordable price. So as you can see from all the sponsors on the list, that's exactly what they do. So the biggest one that we're gonna start with once you get that whole interior torn apart is the clutch. Now,
Clutch and torque tube build.
exactly. So the clutch, I reached out to McLeod because McLeod makes one of the best clutches, in my opinion, for the Corvettes because I've got it on my C6 Z06, and I'll explain that right now. Here is the new McLeod clutch. It is the RXT. This is what it's going to look like. And they make multiple different types of clutches. I know they make a good quality clutch because I have the RST in the C6 Z06 that's holding back 640 wheel horsepower. And it's rated at 800, I think, crank horsepower. It's rated at 800 horsepower. This one is the RXT. Look at this bad boy. The RXT is an upgrade from the RST. Now, I'm not actually gonna be making more power on the C5 than I do in the C6, but it's rated at 1,000 horsepower. And the primary reason I went with this one is because the friction material is a metallic or semi-metallic versus organic on the RST.
Yeah, so this is ceramic.
Yes.
Yeah, and the RST is an organic. This is just going to put up with more abuse. The car's not making a ton of power, but it's going to be used hard. So we want to have something in there that's going to hold up nicely. The friction material on the RST would be more likely to start to deteriorate with some hard clutch kicks.
This is going to be clutch kicks. This is going to be me all day with this clutch. This is what's holding it back. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I know nothing about clutches. This scares me. This looks like witchcraft. What is this? Alignment tool?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we're gonna find out all together. Hey, look, it fits. Whatever that does.
Yeah, so it's a twin disc unit. So any clutch you should use an alignment tool with, but it's very necessary with these. You would never get the torque tube, the spline back in there if everything wasn't perfectly lined up, especially because these need to pass right through and go into the pilot bearing or the pilot bushing, depending on what's used. So alignment on this is critical.
And so explain the twin disc, because I knew I wanted a twin disc because the pedal pressure, which I love on my C6, it's lighter than stock. I couldn't believe it at first. And this one's supposed to be very similar as well, even though it's upgraded.
Yeah, so the pedal feel on this is very, very similar to the RST. You're not going to see much difference there. The ceramic doesn't engage quite as nicely. Sometimes these do tend to chatter a little bit, but it's a give and take.
I
put
don't
up
care
with the
about
abuse. So, and when I say these chatter a little bit, they're typically pretty good. The RST is just known for really nice stock-like drivability.
And this is a race car, sort of. Basically.
Exactly.
Primary
right?
intention is just this.
Yeah, which is why the aluminum flywheel too. A steel flywheel drives a little bit nicer.
Yeah, so I did go with the aluminum, which is a lighter flywheel than the steel, and we did notice that I have a steel one in that right now, and it drives terribly. That's why we're doing the clutch.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, as for the twin disc, basically it's literally just another disc sandwiched in there, so you get twice the surface area in the same size package. Okay. It's a little bit taller, but we've got room to work with in there.
I don't know how to separate this.
No, yeah, we
gotta unbolt it.
Yeah, we gotta pull everything apart.
Look, I literally don't know anything about
so
clutches.
It'll have to be.
I wanted a McLeod.
Yeah, right.
Just because of my experience, I paid for the other one in the C6, and thank you so much, McLeod, for hooking this one up. Now, the thing with Corvettes is how much time it takes to do the clutch, which is Nigel's already starting on the interior right now. So I'm going to show you guys the majority of the process on how this clutch is done. So if you wanted to do this yourself for some reason and you didn't want to take it to a shop, you'll kind of know roughly what you're in for. Yeah. So Nigel, I'm going to stop you from constantly me stopping you from working. And how about you get back to the interior, and then we'll get this thing in here in probably the next day, but you guys will all see this in the next video. Same video, not gonna break this up into multiple videos. All right. So Nigel just got excited because I told him where the handbrake was. Look at this thing.
Fancy bits.
Yeah, I had to get gold. Yeah. I had to. I'm kind of balling out with a couple things here, which you guys will see. I'll show you all this parts pile in a bit, but Willwood, that's hydraulic handbrake. That's literally all it does is just back and forth.
That's it.
Pretty simple.
Yep.
I am doing one of the simplest kits where I'm not doing a dual rear caliper. I'm going to use the existing rear calipers, and we're going to tie into the existing brake lines and all that, because there's a system right there that we're going to tie into, so we'll kind of go through that when we need to, but that's what it's going to look like. So Nigel's just taking that out of the box because he is tearing apart the interior, and the hydraulic brake is going to go right there. And I bought that from Parts Shop Max. That's where I got that. This is also that's the full kit to tie into the existing system. Yep. So it's an inline hydraulic.
Awesome.
Yeah. So the goal of this build is to have a budget drift car from a Corvette. Now, I've done my best to get affordable parts, like I said. So there are parts in here like this. This is my steering wheel. I bought this off Facebook Marketplace. It is a quick release, and I did get gold. Shout out me. We'll see if that's gonna fit. We also have a ton of stuff from Holly Race Quip. These are tow hooks in case I need to get towed out of a ditch or whatever happens. We have a ton of normal maintenance stuff over there. We got a slave cylinder. We have spark plugs. We have some safety equipment. We have a ton of oil-related parts from Improved Racing. I'll detail all that stuff later. We have an intake, and I didn't ball out and get a crazy one. Dave had this one from, Dave, is it eBay? Amazon? one of those, let's just say, offshore locations that made this. I tried to support Canadian and American wherever I could, but yeah, that's just one of those things that's budget friendly. We do have the exhaust system, like I mentioned, so that is fully used. We have very high flow cats over there. We have Bayer brakes right here, so we are doing rotors and pads. Thank you, Bayer and Holly, for that. We have a full steering rack, which I had to buy off Rock Auto because mine is leaking like a sieve, so that just came in. FDF Race Shop, they make a ton of cool drift parts, so I bought a bunch of stuff from them. I'll show you guys all that stuff later. Simpson, a lot of safety-related racing stuff. I even have a fire extinguisher for safety reasons, which we will be also mounting in the vehicle. We are doing a full exhaust system. Thank you to Hooker Blackheart for this one. So this coupled with this should take me all the way from front to back with the intake. So like I said, power is not the objective. Hopefully we land around the, I don't know, 360 wheel mark, maybe, we'll see. But I just want this thing to be fun and reliable, and it's taken every bone in my body to not just throw, oh God, I stepped on that. Not to throw a cam and some heads at this thing, but eventually we probably will because I'm just that type of person. Okay, so let's just get back to some time lapses. Oh, and one of the most important parts right here, check this out. I got a race seat. Shout out Race Quip. Look at this thing. Yeah, FIA certified, and it is very affordable. That's the whole reason why I went with this, so that you guys can replicate parts of this build or the whole build if you wanted to. All of the links will be in the description to all the sponsors. So thank you guys so much. All right, so what are you holding over here?
So these are your new rear brake lines, well, part of them.
Okay.
So these will tie into the master.
Down there somewhere?
Yep, pointing right at it, yeah. So they'll tie in here.
Yep.
The front one there is going to be your rear brakes. So the closer to the driver is always the front brakes. That'll be the rears.
Yep.
So then we'll bring that into the cab.
Yep.
That'll go into your second master now, which is your handbrake.
This guy.
It's that pretty unit.
Yep.
So that'll control the rear calipers and work as a bypass, a pass-through when you're not using it.
Yep.
and then that'll come back out up to the front, and we'll tie in at the ABS unit there.
So that unit right there, we're gonna tie into all that and probably physically remove that unit as well.
Yeah.
So I will no longer have ABS.
No,
Don't need it.
no, drift car.
That's right, drift car. So we've got the car in the air. What's happening next?
All right, so first thing we're gonna do is get all the exhaust out of the way. It's all getting replaced anyways, and we have to drop basically everything to get the rear drivetrain and torque tube out.
Yep.
So I think that's a good spot to start.
And you mentioned that you like the exhaust. You might want to keep it for yourself.
Well, I might have a C5 I want to put that on.
That's all yours, buddy. Look at that. Does this come with it? Or did somebody put that on?
No, that's aftermarket. Yeah.
It doesn't look stock.
No.
Oh, you can polish that?
Yeah, you
oh
can
my.
polish it up.
Yeah. I might have to keep that.
Yeah.
You can have this part.
Oh, thanks.
All right, so basically this is the part where the body separates from the back half.
Yeah, we start the big work now.
Okay, well, still in the same condition that we left it. Still a lot of leaks over here. And you also noticed more significant power steering leak. Oh yeah, this is just
So
soaked.
this is pretty bad. I don't know if it's the line or the top of the cooler here.
Yeah.
Either way, we're going to be able to deal with that while it's out. The rack's getting replaced, pan's getting replaced. That'll be new gaskets.
Yeah, I did buy a new used pan off of Facebook Marketplace. We will detail that later.
Yep. And then get a little bit of a transmission leak here.
yeah.
That will likely stay like that. I mean, unless you want to send this out and have it done.
Nope. That
What I
sounds
figured.
expensive.
Yeah. It doesn't look terrible.
No.
So I'm not too worried about it. So.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Well, I guess this will call for a time lapse. So we got the car down on the ground, and once again, what are we doing next?
So now it'll be engine covers, spark plug wires, spark plugs, and then fight those manifolds out.
Whoa, whoa, you're getting a little too close to the paint. Luckily, Holly's got it hooked up. There. Holly hooked us up with a fender cover, so shout out. We're gonna put this on now.
All right.
And we don't damage this beautiful paint. Look at that. Corvette. Hell yeah, look at that. And Nigel's got one that they already use here. Look at
This
that.
one's a couple years old.
Yeah.
C3. So these have been done at some point relatively recently. I
Okay.
mean, in the last 10 years.
Yeah. So somebody did 7 spark plugs.
It's not the first time I've seen it.
All right. Well, let's continue tearing this thing down. So Nigel's taking off the header bolts and dropping the header just like this one's already down.
Exhaust manifold if you want to get
Exhaust.
technical.
Yes, sorry. Exhaust manifold, because those are headers, right?
correct.
Yeah, those things right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Gotta get right and technical here. Not shiny enough. Don't make enough power. Okay, so you took off the exhaust manifolds, not the headers.
The manifolds.
And
Got the tunnel shield out of the way.
so you exposed the torque tube.
Yeah,
That's what this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's explain quickly. Clutch is right there.
Yeah.
Transfers all the power to the transmission right there.
This guy.
Yeah,
Here.
which is totally opposite of
Here.
99% of cars.
That's correct.
But it's kind of like a drive shaft, right? Sort of.
You
In a
do
way.
have a drive shaft in here. Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. And then instead of U-joints, it uses Guibos front and rear. They're basically the same ones BMW uses.
Yeah, we'll explain Guibos when we start to rebuild the torque tube, because we actually do have to do that. Well, we don't have to, but because everything's apart, we're just
Good
going to.
idea.
Yeah. Okay, so what do we have going on here with the clutch?
So it's just an old center force. You know, more or less what we were expecting to find in here. They had their cool little counterweight system. They worked. The pedal feel's not the nicest on them, and that explains your super heavy pedal.
Yep.
It's just a single disc clutch trying to hold as much power as it can. So.
And it wasn't slipping or anything like that. It's just, it felt really bad, and we have that steel flywheel, so there's vibrations and stuff, so hopefully all of this just gets rid of all that.
Yep, that's the goal.
Okay, so we already have this. Ooh, how's my starter looking? Looks like it's pretty easy access now.
Yeah, right now it is. Once that header goes in,
Oh, I know.
It's in there forever.
Is this, should we replace
you
it,
got
or is
some
it working?
green in there.
I do see that little bit of green.
It's one of those, it's impossible to call something like this.
Yeah.
You know, these starters, this could be on a truck, sea salt, and go for 450,000 kilometers.
Right.
With a very similar engine. That's it. If it decides to fail tomorrow, that's cars, right?
Yeah, yeah. All right.
So make the call now if you're gonna.
We'll see. Maybe we'll price one out. We'll see if we need to do it. I mean, it's totally fine. The thing starts, like, cranks like no problem, so I have no concerns about it.
Exactly.
We'll see.
Okay, I gotta run away, grab that phone.
Yep. So we've got a bunch of drivetrain stands. Looks like we're almost ready to entirely pull the car from itself.
Yeah. So we got a couple of rear subframe bolts here.
Yeah, like
This is
all this kind of stuff, which you've already pulled.
These 4 guys here.
Oh yeah. So that just literally holds the whole cradle.
Those 4 bolts hold basically the back of the car together.
Right there. There.
As well as the suspension, which is mostly disassembled now.
Yeah, so there's the upper control arms, which are going to stay on the car because you've disconnected the upper ball joint.
Yep.
This
Pull
comes
this,
off, and then that whole thing comes down.
It'll droop down.
Okay.
We'll have to go up here and disconnect these brake lines.
Oh yeah.
They'll come down with the subframe. Once we've got everything coming down a little bit, we'll get the 4 or the 5 bolts up at the torque tube there.
Oh yeah. Okay, so these bolts right here.
Yeah, and then we get that back a little bit. We can unbolt the slave cylinder. That's the hard work really. From there, it's basically just massaging it out.
Okay. So the slave cylinder is up over here by the clutch.
Yeah,
Right?
so it'll be right in
Yeah,
there.
right in there. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just 2 10-mil bolts that hold it in.
Okay. So day 1 progress, pretty good.
Rocking and rolling.
Yeah. So it's a new day. We got the torque tube out. I'm currently sitting on it. The transmission's right behind me. The differential's also behind me. So what's the plan now?
So first thing we're going to tackle is the torque tube.
Okay.
They are a little bit of a chore to rebuild, but nothing we're not used to. So we'll start by tearing this down, make sure we have everything here that we need. One of the parts that gets neglected in these a lot is the O-rings that the bearings actually sit in.
And that's inside this shaft somewhere?
Yeah, there's one on the front,
Right in
and
here?
usually 2 in the back, right
shaft?
there.
Okay, just checking.
So we'll get some O-rings for that if I don't have something here that's going to work. And then it's just new bearings, new Guibos, just freshen everything up in there.
Okay, so we'll do a lot of time lapses of all the little things, but we'll try and also show the minute things before we get into a time lapse and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
I may have to get sent out to get some O-rings during this process as well. We'll see.
Yeah, see how it goes.
And then, so the plan for today, which is day 2, is to do that torque tube rebuild. Hopefully we have all the parts. Do the clutch as well.
Yeah, we'll
and
get
then throw everything possibly back into the car?
That's the plan.
Possibly, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it.
All right.
Now you're disconnecting the transmission from the torque tube itself.
Yep.
Okay, so it's a couple bolts. And while you're doing that, I'm going to explain what's going to happen in a future video. So here are the original shocks. There's no springs because there's a leaf spring on Corvettes. So in the future, we will be doing coilover conversion. Now, yes, you're probably thinking this is a very easy time to be doing this, but I think it'll be more realistic if we put it back together and then do it later. Plus, the guy that's going to be doing it, Ivan's Auto Service, he loves doing suspension and alignment and all that fun stuff. So when we do the angle kit, we're going to do it all together because it just makes sense, and then I don't have to drive around on a wonky alignment while I'm driving to his shop. And we're going to be able to lower the car and all that fun stuff. And I'll show you guys the new wheels because I did get a new set of wheels and an extra set of rears because it's a drift car. So
Step one.
torque tube is separate from the transmission. And now that we have it separate and looking at all these parts, this transmission, this is tiny. This T56, like, that's
Here to here, realistically.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, considering the abuse they put up with.
Yeah. And it looks like some mouse or something is living in here. Like, what the? How did it even get in there?
Yeah. I got nothing.
Oh boy. All right, but everything looks like it's in pretty good shape. What are we looking at here separate from all this stuff?
So this is the drive shaft. This is what needs to be rebuilt in these things. So typically the biggest issue is your guibos.
Guibo, we've heard that word, so
yeah.
let's explain that thing now.
Yeah, the drive shaft coupler is the other word for it.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically it just goes in place of a U-joint. It gives you smoother power delivery. It kind of helps dampen driveline vibration.
Yep.
Pretty common in European cars, not overly common in North American cars from this era.
Right.
Although we see it more and more as time goes on.
Okay.
You don't typically see it in really heavy vehicles, but they will put up with some abuse as long as the vehicle itself isn't overly heavy.
And we have two of them, right?
Yeah,
One
so
there.
front and the back,
One there.
and you can see so the cracking developing in here.
Let me get that zoom
Yeah,
for the internet. Oh yeah.
yeah. So it's cracked there.
Oh.
It's cracked there. It's pretty typical of these. I mean, this might go for. It's hard to put a
Yeah.
timeline on it, but you could see another 100,000 out of it before it actually fails.
But the amount of work to get that out of there for the clutch, that's
it.
why we're doing this.
This is the time to do it.
Yeah, so you might as well, because the rebuild kit doesn't actually cost that much money, so that's why we're doing this now, because I'm going to put this through more abuse that this car has ever seen in 200,000 kilometers in probably the next 100 kilometers.
That's the plan. That, and we'll do the bearings while we're in there. Like you can, I don't know if you'll pick that up. They make a little bit of noise.
Oh yeah.
It's not terrible. Again, that doesn't mean it's not going to go for a while yet.
Right.
We got it apart.
Exactly.
Do them now.
Yeah.
So,
Cheap insurance.
Yep.
That's one of those things. That's kind of building cars. You find that a lot of that kind of stuff happens.
yeah.
Although, one thing, to sidetrack completely, because Nigel and I have been talking about it off camera, I think we're just going to leave the starter for now. Because Nigel price went out. It's going to be like $300 or something, like after taxes, blah, 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 installation.
Yeah.
We're just going to heat wrap it and call it a day. If we need to do it later, whatever. I may regret this decision. We'll see.
Deal with it then.
Yeah.
It's a manual. You can always push start it.
Yeah. See, look at this optimism. I love it. All right, let's rebuild this thing. You got everything separated. What are you holding in your hand?
So that's the input shaft.
Okay.
So on these, that's a dust shield. Some people call it a sling ring. It's just there as a dust shield. That's the first thing to come off if you try and pull this bearing off, and not at the same time. There's a snap ring sandwiched in between there that you can't see.
Yeah, okay.
And you're gonna have a bad time.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, so basically we get the dust shield off, pull the snap ring, and then the bearings press on and off fairly easily.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward from here. It's just some time on the press.
We've got the new bearing, all the things replaced, all the O-rings, guibos are new, all that stuff is just gonna get put back together.
Yeah,
Everything went well. We didn't have to run out to the store. You had all the O-rings.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, yeah, assembly time and...
Yeah, the reason we may have had to go out to get O-rings is because mine's an early model. Yeah. There's a lot of weird differences with Corvettes depending on what year you get. The later ones are kind of preferable because they offer like full rebuild kits and all that stuff. There are some for the earlier ones like this one, but they're very expensive for some reason because I guess they just made less of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna go back together pretty easily, and then this goes back into that goes back into that goes back into that. But then we have to do the clutch because that's what we're doing for this whole job.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is just a side job, side quest.
Yep.
Torque tube is fully reassembled, and the next step, after a quick little lunch break that we just had, we are not a pizza team with a racing problem. Shout out, stay tuned, Tony Angelo. Next thing, we are going to be doing the clutch. So we've got this McLeod RXT. Finally, we can go. The side quests are finally over.
That's right, yeah.
So we're doing the clutch with this slave cylinder.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is a Luke OEM style slave.
Okay.
There are a lot of aftermarket slaves that you can get. I prefer these.
Yeah, I've read about that too. I think we're making the right choice.
Yes. There's certain situations where certain clutches kind of warrant an aftermarket slave. There's generally a lot of setup involved in them.
Yep.
It's not something we want to get into with this. These work together really, really nicely. The big deal with doing the slave, whether C5, 6, 7, whichever, is the speed bleed line.
That's what this is.
That's what this is here. So the bleeder for these sits on top of the torque tube in the torque tunnel. Once everything's assembled, you essentially can't bleed it. I mean, you can, it's very difficult. You got to remove the exhaust. Generally on a normal car, you know, you're going to get 200,000 out of it anyways.
Yep.
It's not really a big deal, but on a car that's going to see a lot of abuse, speed line is pretty essential so that we can keep fresh fluid in there.
Exactly.
And that's going to keep the infamous Corvette sticky clutch pedal from happening.
Yeah, so we might do that even like once a season or something like that.
Ideally, yeah. Or as soon as the fluid starts looking like it needs it.
Yeah.
If not once a season.
Yep.
So.
And we are going to attempt to do some heat shielding in the engine bay as well, just to see if we can get like a little bracket or something in there to just keep it away from the fluid, just so that we don't boil it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what this stuff is. Here's all the old stuff that we still have to take apart as well. So what's the order of operations right now?
So slave cylinder out of the way.
Yeah, this is the factory old one.
Yep. Usually there's a little clip on the side of the transmission here that seems to be not installed from when they did it last.
Okay.
So that makes this a fairly easy procedure.
Perfect. So how do you get this thing out? Obviously we got to take this.
Yeah, so you're gonna have
bracket.
your bell housing bolts up
Yep.
here. 2, 4, there should be 6 of those on this, I believe.
Okay.
This will come out, and then we pull the pressure plate off the clutch, pull the flywheel off, struggle to get the the pilot bearing out. It's usually not an easy procedure. There's some tricks. You'll see the guys do the bread trick and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna smash our tool in there and make it work. So I'm not a big fan of stuffing bread into somebody's engine.
Yeah. And then you mentioned we should probably take a look at the rear main seal because all the stuff is already apart.
Now's the time.
Yeah.
Right. Like we've got that off. Your oil pan's leaking a little bit anyways.
Oh, just a little bit. Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Just a tiny little bit.
Rear mains, it's not like old cars where you have like the piece of rope for a rear main and like
Right.
they just leak constantly.
Yeah.
This is one of these things again with the LS platform. A lot of these will go 400,000 or 500,000 kilometers without leaking.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just don't fix what's not broken.
Exactly.
Let's look at it and make the call then.
Yeah. And quickly before we actually continue on my car, Dave's doing another Corvette right here. This is a C6 Z06. He's doing also the same thing. Here's the old slave cylinder. And look at what Dave's putting in this car. Oh, look at that. They just so happen to be putting in an RXT into this car. And they also have a speed bleeder, and they also have the same brand new slave cylinder as well. So these guys love to use McLeod clutches. I see McLeod. Actually, here's another box of McLeod. I don't even know what that's for. Camaro. Yeah, there you go. And Dave's even got a McLeod in his C6 as well.
Yep.
So it's their go-to clutch.
Yeah.
Like, I love the clutch. They love the clutch.
Works.
Exactly. So there you go. There's proof. So thank you, McLeod, for hooking this one up, because I would have just honestly bought one anyways. Okay, let's get back to this car. All right, Nigel, tell me what you just noticed up here.
So we're running into a theme on this car, which is when bolts get hard to put in, or spark plugs.
Let's see if I can show that right up there. Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So,
Looks like we're missing a bolt, Nigel.
yeah, that's great.
Wow. So whoever worked on this car before, just so lazy.
Yeah. So I've got lots of hardware kicking around for these, so we'll put it back in properly.
Oh, thank you. 2 clutches at the same time? So, do you remember Office Space? When he's like, what would you do if you had $1 million?
Easy peasy.
Working on Corvette, super easy, all the space in the world. All right, first good look at that thing. Nasty.
Yeah. So the pressure plate, having everything evenly torqued on the pressure plate is extremely important.
Okay.
So if we were pulling this off to put it back on,
Yeah.
I would be doing this slowly.
Yeah, for sure.
Little tiny bit at a time to make sure nothing warps too far on its way off.
Yeah.
I would never put the time into putting this back into a car. So
Oh God,
I'm
no.
worried about
No.
it.
We're gonna take this outside,
so
Office
yeah.
Space style.
All right. So we're just gonna rip this thing off for now. The flywheel's getting replaced anyways. And then we'll take a look inside there, get the pilot bushing done, and see if there's anything else we need to tend to while we've got it apart.
Okay. Start zipping. Oh yeah, you can see it all falling out.
Oh yeah.
Hey, good job, Nigel.
All right.
So we've got the flywheel here, which is steel.
Yeah, it definitely looks like steel.
Yeah. So we're going to a lighter aluminum flywheel, which will also help the engine rev up faster and come down faster as well.
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
So
let's get this
pull
ugly
this.
thing out of here. Get the nice, beautiful one back in. I mean, in for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
That's steel.
Yeah, it looks heavy. Oh yeah, even sounds heavy. Is this the pilot bearing?
This is the pilot. Yeah.
Pilot, yeah, okay. Look at me, I know something.
So we're gonna get that guy out of there.
Okay.
And then I think we've determined we're gonna use a pilot bushing instead.
Yeah, can you explain? Actually, you know what? Save that explanation for when we take that out, because
Yeah.
it'll make more sense.
Fair enough.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I mean, we're leaking back here, but this is all, anything that looks to be leaking here is gonna be just from the back of the pan gasket. This will all get done when we pull this pan off. So.
Exactly. That's good news.
So I think we'll just leave this guy in here unless you particularly want to replace it.
Nope, looks bone dry to me.
That's the right call in my opinion.
I think we're good.
All right.
Brake clean.
It smells like my nostrils are on fire in a chemical way.
I think I can smell colors.
Yeah.
So Nigel's got a special tool to remove this pilot bearing. So you basically just kind of keep breaking it apart until it comes out.
More or less.
Yeah.
I mean, in an ideal world, it would just come out the first shot. But
Hey man, this is YouTube. It's not TV.
that's right. We'll lose work until it's out of there.
Hey.
Easy peasy.
Hey. Perfect.
Got a minty pilot bushing for sale if anyone's looking.
Yeah. How much is that new one? Like $50?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm gonna need you to reuse that one.
Okay. Yeah,
Especially.
we can put it back.
Yeah, just
it'll
glue,
be fine.
right?
Yeah. A little grease and some Loctite. We'll be good.
Okay, what are you holding in your hand there?
So this is our replacement.
Okay.
So this is just a solid bushing.
Yep.
As opposed to the bearing. So these are.
So bearing would spin.
Yeah. So this has got a needle bearing inside of
Yep.
it. I mean, In my opinion, longevity-wise, bearing's probably the way to go.
Yep.
But something that's going to be abused, the bushing is certainly the more robust way. So it's a self-lubricating metal, essentially.
Interesting.
They just tend to not really wear out after, with sustained RPM
Yeah.
and quick changes in RPM and things like that. So
Okay.
pop that guy in there. And,
So we're going with the bushing,
going with the bushing.
not the bearing.
That's right.
Okay. All right, so I'm seeing a 5.7 liter. Could we just knock off that 5 point so it just says 7 liter?
Yeah.
All right, so apparently don't make jokes around Nigel because he's actually just gonna do it. 7 liter. Look at that.
Fixed.
Just gained an extra, 150 horsepower?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
160.
All right, well, now I feel like this is my C6 Z06 already, so I think we're good. The next person that does the clutch is going to be very confused. Actually, it'll be you guys. Let's be real. Yeah. What kind of idiot? The last mechanic wrote 7 liter on it. Finally, it's time for the shiny one.
Yes.
Get rid of this nonsense.
So these, anything from McLeod's going to come pre-marked for balance.
Okay.
That's important.
Yep.
So we're going to make sure everything lines back up when it goes in.
That'll get rid of the vibration I probably had over here.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
These are called instructions.
Ah, yes.
Use them.
Okay. I thought you were going to say toss them.
No.
Maybe the instructions have a Ugga spec.
They certainly will.
Ugga Duggas.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Ooh, stickers. Thank you, McLeod. There you go, bud.
I've got lots of
I bet you do. Look at these guys. Everything's already stickered up here.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've got some McLeod ones somewhere. Okay, so we do have a bunch of stuff in here. Instructions. Ugga Duggas. Right
Yes.
here. Torque specs. Weird that it doesn't say just hold the trigger for 8 minutes.
The washers are installed in the way that they need to go back on there.
Oh, really?
You're always going to have a washer and then the lock washer.
Can't wait for my clutch pedal to feel normal again. 'Cause, that was the worst feeling clutch pedal I've
Yeah.
ever felt in my life.
I mean, between that and just having a shifter that works.
Yes.
It's
Whole
going to
new
be
car.
like driving a different car.
Oh, actually, though. And now that it's a 7 liter as well.
That helps, I guess.
Look at that.
So,
Yeah, that's serious business
yes, sir.
compared to over there.
Fancy ceramic plates.
So this is the metallic ceramic stuff that's going to be much, can tolerate much more abuse than the RST that I have, which is on my C6 in organic material.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one.
So then this all has to get, oh, what a fancy clutch.
Yes, it
All this
is.
stuff. So you just unbolted that, and that's the second plate.
And that's plate 2.
Okay, makes sense because that's got 1 plate. And what is the advantage of 2 plate other than for me to physically feel that the pedal is easier to press?
Yeah, basically it just means with the same amount of spring pressure coming from the pressure plate, you're getting twice the surface area.
That makes a lot more sense.
Right.
Okay. That is the easiest way someone's ever explained that to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is so light compared to this. Oh my good, like, ow.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So now, put that back up there. Put that back together according to the instructions, which are under there. Hey, I caught him. He is actually reading the instructions. Look at that. Even though he's done 100 of these clutches, he still reads the instructions. Hey, it's proof. How much nicer is that than the steel one?
So yeah, usually we'll want to make sure that the surface on the back of the crank there is nice and flat.
Yep.
And then I'll use 2 or 3 bolts to just draw this on till it's flush. Pull those out, we apply our Loctite and then start torquing. I do have a little tool that we're going to use to go in here in place of the starter to keep this solid.
Oh yeah.
It just makes torquing things a little bit easier.
that's what the new clutch looks like installed. Great job, Nigel. Thank you. Looked like it went pretty easily for you. I mean, you've done this countless times.
Once or twice?
Yeah. Yeah, this looks awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be absolutely destroying this thing.
Yeah, and it's going to be put through its paces. That's
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
I will be the abuse test case scenario. I think it'll be totally fine. Considering what I put the RST through on my C6 Z06,
Yeah.
this will be totally fine.
Yep.
Okay, so what's next now?
Probably get the slave
yes,
together,
this
get
guy.
the bleed line on it,
Yeah.
ready to go in, and then it'll be put the bell housing back on
Yep.
and put the torque tube onto the transmission.
Yep.
Let's get this thing together.
Hell yeah. And you had mentioned
Oh,
that you saw a potential leak over here, right?
Yeah, so
We're going to
don't know
see.
if I'm going to be able to turn this right now, but
That's
you get
okay.
a little bit of an axle leak right here.
I see that because it's sprayed all over this.
Yeah.
And then this side is also a little bit wet.
Yeah, so these vents, they all kind of tend to seep. It's pretty rare to see this side of the differential dry on one of these.
Oh, okay.
With that said, I have axle seals here. We'll pop this axle out, put a seal in it just to be safe.
Yep.
And then I'm going to see what condition the back side of the stub shaft is there.
Okay.
If it's severely worn, then I'm going to throw one of the axles we have in here that doesn't have a torn boot.
Okay.
The ones I have do have a little bit of wear in them, so
Yeah.
if this one's in much better shape, we may end up leaving it. We'll make that call as soon as we get there. So
Yeah, we'll see how many of these I go through when I'm actually drifting. You had mentioned a upgrade of Z06, C5 Z06 axles.
C5 Z06 axles
They're
are
girthier.
they don't really look all that much different.
Okay. They're just stronger material or something?
They just hold up. I mean, they're a great upgrade even for C6s.
Okay.
There's guys out there running like 9 seconds on those axles, so they're kind of just the go-to, considering they're relatively easy to get a hold of.
Yeah. Pretty inexpensive as well. Like
Yeah.
all these are.
Yeah, they're not a bank breaker. You're not spending $2,000 on a set of axles.
Yeah.
So that's something we'll likely end up looking into in the future.
Yeah.
But for now, we'll just deal with the little stuff while we've got it apart.
Perfect. Okay, let's get the torque tube on there. Let's get that new slave cylinder and all that fun stuff and get this thing right back up in here.
right.
This thing is disgusting right here. Why would you do, look at this. Just glued in. Like, man, you Corvette people. Why do you have to have it? It's not even centered. There we go. Happy face. Perfect. I was gonna write like F you or something, but that's much better. All right, let's get this thing back together. You notice something funny, not funny, taking off the slave cylinder? What is it?
So this is a nylon ring that is there just to be pushed down in to release this quick release collar.
Okay.
And the whole neck of it's just gone. It just kind of going with the theme of this car was assembled with a hammer last time. So
Oh, man. It's okay.
we'll make it work.
Sorry for all this extra little hassle so far.
No surprise.
This is why you need specialists to work on Corvettes. Like these guys. It's just Corvettes here. That's it. There's just Corvettes. Even Toretto brings his Corvette here. Look at that. If Toretto trusts them. Hey.
Okay.
Hey. She's out. Throw it in the bin.
Yeah, get it going.
Look at
Ooh, look at that fluid.
Yeah.
Nasty.
That is just black. We got the new one. And then this line is what you added for the speed bleed.
Yes. So this is gonna come up into the engine bay now.
Yep.
Fluid in, fluid out. We can actually flush this thing out whenever we want now.
Perfect. Definitely an upgrade worth doing while you're in there because all this stuff is just while you're in there.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of labor to get this car apart, as you can imagine. New slave cylinder in. What are you holding in your hand now?
Bell housing.
Bell housing going
bell
in.
housing.
Everything is as assembled as it needs to be at this point.
Yep.
What's next?
So let's pop this axle out.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, axle time.
See what we're dealing with here.
Okay.
At the very least, pop a new seal in it. Just
Yep.
Because we can. I got one here. So.
Oh, perfect. Man, it's so convenient. You guys have literally everything on hand. Okay.
And then, yeah, once we get that together, we're ready to and in.
Okay, I'm excited to see this process.
Sometimes they just pop out, sometimes they fight, and sometimes they gotta be hammered.
Hey. Ooh.
Okay.
Look at that.
Not great, it's not terrible.
Okay, worth checking out the other one.
Let's see what we got over here.
Look at this pile. Pro Charger. This, we're not even going to get into this one because this one's a pretty intense build.
It's something.
Yeah, look at that. That looks good.
Doesn't look too bad.
C5, look at that, 93K. Hey, that's like half the mileage of mine. Ooh, and I noticed this. Optima battery. We're going to be throwing one of these in mine over there as well. Shout out Optima for sponsoring this as well. I got a yellow top as well. And there is a specific reason why I'm going to put that in, but I'll explain that in that video because it'll just make more sense. Okay, so you're going to clean that up.
Yeah, I might as well just clean this up a little bit.
And we're going to leave that one because that one's totally fine. You can see the difference right here is like there's stuff caked on. Here, nothing caked on.
The boots aren't leaking, and clearly this isn't leaking, so...
Yeah, exactly. This is all dry. Bloop. In. Okay, so that axle has half the mileage of this axle now. Torque tube, look at that. That spins so freely. No sounds, no nothing. Oh, that's nice. All right. So, torque tube goes back onto transmission. This is the shift linkage, right? Yep. So, because the transmission's way at the back on Corvettes, but the shifter's way at the front, actually you can see the, where's the hole? Right there? Yeah. That's the hole where the shifter goes. And that's what actually controls the gears in the transmission. Pretty wild setup.
Yeah.
But it works.
It works.
And you mentioned some of them have play, but this one's okay.
This does have play. It's just not significant.
Yeah.
And there's no easy fix for it.
Right.
It's hard to get a hold of these now.
Oh, yeah.
They're actually like a little U-joint, just like on a car or
yeah.
a truck. But you can't buy that separately, so.
Yeah, okay. We're putting it back in.
Yeah.
Plus with that upgraded little shift box that you got me with the solid bushings.
Yeah,
that'll help.
it's gonna be fine. So
Okay.
if we were gonna go to the extent of spending the money on an MGW or something like that,
Yeah.
maybe it would be worth looking into. But
Budget build. At least an attempt at it, even though we've had a lot of side quests on this video.
this is building a car.
Exactly. Just so you guys know, if you do your builds, there's a lot of things on the side that just makes sense to do at the time that you're doing it. Okay. Look, Dave's back. Because we need manhandling help to put this back up on here and...
All right. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Okay. Bolt that back up. We all physically lift it back on the stand, which is somewhere. Actually, I think it's over there. Steal that one from that Corvette. Back up into this Corvette. This massive space.
Yeah, fill it back up.
And then a couple more things along the way as well. Like we got some heat wrap and things like that because again, there's gonna be a lot of heat from this car. So we've got a little heat wrap kit right here for the tunnel. And then we also have this for the starter, which we'll be doing a little bit later in a different video. That's gonna wrap that basically so that when we do the headers and everything gets hot, we won't hopefully melt that starter and I won't be able to start the car when it's hot because I've been in that situation with the C6 and now we fixed that. So that's why I'm not doing the wrong thing on this one other than not replacing the starter right now. But I'm hoping that's not the wrong thing. tube is in, driveline, the rest of it is going up right now. But it's gonna wrap up for this video because I don't need to show you guys connecting all the suspension components because we already did that on the dismantling part. So this is all just reconnecting all the same stuff. So in the next video, Nigel, I think we're gonna kind of do the same thing, but we're gonna take the front half of the car off of itself.
It'll be drop the front subframe.
Yeah, so right over here because we're gonna start some of the engine work.
Well, yeah.
Some of the engine work.
Yeah, we'll probably get onto some of the cooling system and brake line work before dropping the subframe.
Because we're replacing the radiator, the fans, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
We do have to fix the oil cooler. We will be replacing the oil pan, which is also part of the reason is why we have to do all that fun stuff. So there's still a lot to go on this build. Also, you're not going to see, but we still have to bleed the clutch, make sure all that stuff works. Finally get the experience, the new clutch pedal feel. Let's see what that's like. Okay, so that play is all gone. Oh yeah. Oh, that's what a clutch pedal feels like. McLeod! Hell yeah. But next video should be pretty exciting. This was the majority of the work because of how long it takes to do all that, because you literally have to separate the car from itself. The front, not as bad just because we don't have to do as much separation from car to body.
No, we don't. We'll probably want to leave the subframe relatively intact, just drop it down, but then we've got all the exhaust to fight with.
Yes.
But that's always fun.
Yeah, so we're doing full exhaust, a lot of fun stuff, and we'll be shooting flames soon. So thanks for watching. See you guys at the next video, which will probably be in a week from now.